John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
After he appeared to his followers in Jerusalem, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias, and he showed himself in this way. Gathered there together were Simon Peter, Thomas, called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and two others of his disciples. Simon Peter said to them, "I'm going fishing." They said to him, "We'll go with you." They went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Just after daybreak, Jesus stood on the beach, but the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, "Children, you have no fish, have you?" They answered him, "No." He said to them, "Cast the net to the right side of the boat, and you will find some." So they cast it, and now they were not able to haul it in because there were so many fish. That disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on some clothes, for he was naked, and jumped into the sea. But the other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far from the land, only about 100 yards off. When they had gone ashore, they saw a charcoal fire there with fish on it and bread. Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish that you have just caught." So Simon Peter went aboard and hauled the net ashore, full of large fish, 153 of them. And though there were so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast." Now, none of the disciples dared to ask him, "Who are you?" because they knew it was the Lord. Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them, and did the same with the fish. This was now the third time that Jesus appeared to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." A second time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter felt hurt because he said to him the third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Very truly, I tell you, when you were younger, you used to fasten your own belt and go wherever you wish. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will fasten a belt around you and take you where you do not wish to go." He said this to indicate to them a kind of death by which he would glorify God. After this, he said to him, "Follow me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Please be seated. Have you ever walked past someone you know without recognizing them? You weren't expecting to see them, therefore were not looking for them. Perhaps you were accustomed to seeing them in a specific context and didn't recognize them outside of it. For example, your favorite barista who makes your morning coffee regularly. Would you immediately recognize them if you saw them in the grocery store aisle, out of uniform? Or would you see them as just another shopper who may look familiar, but you can't quite place why? Remember the experiment in which renowned violinist Joshua Bell, dressed in casual clothes and a ball cap, stood in Grand Central Station during rush hour, playing his Stradivarius. No one recognized him. They assumed he was just another busker. Some dropped money in the open violin case, but only one small child stopped to listen, and she was tugged away by her mother. I recently came across another experiment in which people dressed as homeless people sitting on the street to see if their close family members would recognize them. All of them walked past without noticing. Humans don't always look beyond their expectations and assumptions. That happened to the followers of Jesus. On Easter morning, Mary was certainly not expecting to see Jesus up and walking around. With her vision veiled in grief, she assumed the man she saw was a gardener, someone she might have expected to encounter in that context. It was only when she heard his voice speak her name that she recognized Jesus. Some of the disciples needed more convincing. In last week's lessons, we saw Jesus miraculously appear inside a locked room where his disciples were hiding from the Jewish authorities. He showed them his wounds, allowed touch, and breathed on them. He was letting them know that he would continue to be with them, if in a different way. In today's gospel, Jesus appears as a stranger on the beach who tells them where to cast their nets in order to catch some fish. As had happened once before during Jesus' life, they caught so many fish that they struggled to retrieve them. That is how they recognized that it was Jesus. He cooks them breakfast on the beach, and once they are well fed, he tells them, "If you love me, feed my sheep, tend my flock." He wasn't just talking about physical food, although making sure that everyone has the basic necessities was a part of his ministry. He was talking about spiritual food. In other words, go out and share the news of God's love among the people. After the death of Jesus, his disciples were in a sort of fugue state. Anyone who has experienced grief will understand this. There's a sense of disbelief, of unreality. Numbness sets in. It's difficult to think about accomplishing anything. The decision to go fishing seems to have been something to do besides staring at the walls. They had returned to where they felt most comfortable. By telling his followers to go out among the people, Jesus was encouraging them to lead lives of purpose, giving them a reason to continue his ministry. Catching the huge amount of fish reminded them of when they first met, when Jesus told them, "You will become fishers of people." A recurring theme these past few weeks has been the failure to immediately recognize Jesus. How many times, I wonder, have we failed to recognize Jesus in our midst? It is unlikely that Jesus would appear as a powerful warrior the way some people like to depict him. That was never his way. His way, or the way, as his followers called it, emphasized community, sharing, caring for each other. It would therefore be more likely that Jesus would appear as someone humble, unassuming, a beggar in the street, a refugee, a person with disabilities or a catastrophic illness, someone struggling to obtain the basic needs for survival. Alternatively, he might appear as someone trying to help those who have been marginalized and encouraging others to join him in that endeavor. I often think about the adage, "Be not afraid to show hospitality to strangers, for oftentimes in doing so, people have entertained angels unaware." Throughout my life, I have encountered people who, while not Jesus himself, seem to be operating under his influence. I'm sure you have as well, whether you realized it or not. The risen Jesus is a mystery to us. We may not readily recognize him in the course of daily life, yet even as he is hidden from view, he is also revealed. We just need to open our minds and pay closer attention to what is around us. Our hymn of the day is number 522,